Okay, let's go.
I kinda traded your soul to the guy at the comic book store. But look, I got some cool pogs. Elf pogs. Remember Elf? He's back. In pod form.
Hello, Bart Simpson fans. This is Scorp1701, and tonight we are going to be taking a look at the Jakks Pacific, The Simpsons, Milhouse Van Houten. Yes, this is Bart Simpson's truest, bluest friend, and that's not just his hair. He is a great little buddy to Bart Simpson because every character needs a best friend, and this is Bart's. And Milhouse has been there since the very beginning of the show, tagging along with Bart, getting into all sorts of mischief and trouble, and hopefully one day hoping to win the heart of Lisa Simpson. But that's more his dream than ours. But anyway, taking a look at this awesome figure, you can see he is in these nice Jakks Pacific Simpsons packaging. It is a huge open window box, and you can see Milhouse in there with his accessory bicycle. You have 4+, you have Bart, you have Homer, you have Matt Groening, Jakks Pacific, The Simpsons. On the top of the box, you have Marge and Maggie and Milhouse and warnings and attentions. On the other side of the box, you have Lisa and the rest of Homer. On the far side of the box, you have The Simpsons and the character in the box, which is Milhouse. On the bottom of the packaging, you got some awesome credits for the box as I scroll in and take a look at this cool barcode, and you can see that. Scan that. That might help you find this figure on the shelves or online. You can never tell. Coming around finally to the back of the packaging, and you have at the very top 20th Television TM copyright 20th Television Matt Groening. You have The Simpsons, Milhouse, and you have Milhouse on his bicycle. It can be done. Coming down, you have Snowball 2 and the rest of the figures in the wave, to include Baseball, Homer, Marge, and Maggie, and Lenny, and that is really nice. Coming down, you've got some final credits for the back of the box, and that is cool. And that is the total of the packaging, and I don't want to see Milhouse in the packaging. I know you don't, so let's get him out and see how true blue this guy really is. And here we have Milhouse out of the packaging, and out of the packaging he stands approximately 3.5 inches tall. He comes with the best accessory an 8-year-old could ever come with, which is a nice blue bicycle with a little stand, and we'll take a look at that in just a moment. But first off, I want to take a look at the youngest Van Houten himself. And coming in real close on Milhouse's head sculpt. Now this is a beautiful Milhouse head sculpt. Looks just like him. He has his blue hair coming down at a very sharp point right here in front. I like that. Coming to his face, it's nice and yellowy like it should be. And he has some freakishly blue eyelids. They're coming off to the sides. Coming down, he does have some molded glasses. I love that. And I will always say go with the molded glasses. Playmates in the day switched back and forth between molded glasses and removable glasses, and all the ones that were moved, I lost. And a lot of people lose their glasses as well. So if you ever create toys, always go with molded glasses, and they're nice and they're red, and you basically just got a little pupil here painted on the outside, and that is really neat. Has a big huge nose coming down to his standard Simpson overbite, and that is nice. Molded ear there. Hair goes all the way to the side and to the back. which is really cool. I like that, coming down to his little neck. And then his shirt. Let's zoom out a little bit so we can see the entirety of this little fella. Now, he is wearing a t-shirt, and it is a lavender color or a light pink or purple, whatever you want to call it. And it's nice. I don't think it's the exact same body mold and sculpt as Bart's. I think he's a little wider here, if not in the chest. Definitely in the back, but anyway, we'll compare him in a minute. Coming down, he has his nice little arms hanging out there, and that is cool. And then he's coming down to some nice long red shorts. And these could be the same upper shorts as Bart has, but they added this piece here because Milhouse wore longer shorts. So that is a distinct separate piece right here, and you can see a little bit of his ankles, and that comes down to his little red shoes. On the bottom, he has some peg holes, which will help you get him on the bicycle. And coming around to the back of the figure, nothing that you wouldn't expect. He does have some copyright material here and on his butt. So yeah, that is pretty neat. That is what your Milhouse is gonna look like. Very nice, and I like how they got all the detail in such a little figure. Alright, moving on. And for our articulation in which Jakks Pacific shines, starting with Milhouse's head, it can go around 360 degrees. You don't get much wiggle waggle in there. It's basically a solid piece, but you do get the 360. Coming to his shoulders, shoulders can come up from the body, then back down. They can go around 360 degrees. Then you have a distinct separate bicep rotation, 360 degrees there, coming down to your elbow bend, which is nice and well into 90 degrees. I like that. And that is built into a forearm rotation independent of the bicep, so that can go around 360 degrees. And that will bring you down to his hand. And his hand can go around 360 degrees, and it is hinged, so it can hinge in, and it can hinge out, it can hinge up, and it can hinge down, depending on where you have it hinging. And that is really neat. Coming to the center of the body, no upper abdomen crunch or anything. He does have 360 degrees of waist articulation, and he does got a little wiggly waggly in there for a waist or diaphragm rotation. Well, lower diaphragm rotation, if that is a thing. So that is neat. Coming to his legs, his little legs can move up a long ways, not 90 degrees, but close enough. They can't go back much because the butt gets in the way, but you can get them out to the side a little bit. That is nice. And they don't really have thigh rotation. I mean, it is moving around on the joint, but I think that's just what that is. This little piece right here that's they added to the bottom of the short, that can kind of move around 360 degrees if you're so inclined to do that, but I wouldn't, because it's kind of set in a certain way because it opens up for the knee joint to be able to move. So leave that where it is and bend your knee joint down, and that is really cool. You don't exactly get 90 degrees there, but the fact that they gave you a knee bend is really awesome, and it's really kind of hidden in that joint, so that is really cool. Coming down to your leg doesn't really move, but that will bring you down to the foot, and the foot can go around 360 degrees, and it kind of wiggles left and right, up and down, but not really. It's not hinged or anything. So yeah, a lot of great articulation in these figures for being so small, and I do applaud Jakks Pacific, especially in these arms and all the joints that they could squeeze in there, and then this knee joint. That is really cool. All right, and that is Milhouse's articulation. Moving on. And for accessories, Milhouse comes with this awesome blue bicycle. Now, this is a very large accessory for him. It comes with a vehicle. And it's really nicely sculpted and molded. It looks exactly like a bicycle should. You got your handlebars here with some gray for the handles and silver for the handlebar piece itself. Coming down, you got the nice blue frame, and you got a nice gray seat with some gray pedals. A little bit of silver for the pedal gears. I like that. Coming to the tires. The tires are movable. They spin. That is really cool. They're done in a gray plastic, and you got some spokes inside, done in a nice silver, and that is really nice. And on the pedals, you do have some pegs, so you'll just mount Milhouse's foot in there, and once you get him on, he can actually ride the bicycle, and you can see here he can almost ride it by himself, but he'll fall over eventually. But that is still really neat, so that he could actually ride the bicycle. But for the most part, instead of having him ride the bicycle, you'll probably want to use this little stand here, and this will peg into the bottom of the bicycle right here where the pedal base is, and it will just slide right into there, and that will allow the bicycle to sit straight up on a stand, and that will act as your kickstand, and then the bike will stand up, and you can have Milhouse on there and be in all sorts of different poses, and then you can bring Bart in on his skateboard, and they could cruise the town together, and that is pretty neat. And that is Milhouse's bicycle accessory. Moving on. And full comparison. Now, unfortunately, I do not have the Playmates Milhouse to compare him with, but here you are with the Jakks Pacific Bart and Lisa, and they look great. I love this little group of figures. They are so cool. They look like they just jumped out of the television, and these are great modern day interpretations. So if we want to see them with an adult figure, here they are with their hero, Krusty. Well, Krusty, get him in the frame there. There you go. That is pretty neat. And bringing in some figures from yesterday. Here they are with the Playmates comic shop guy. And that is good. See how big he is comparatively. Ooh, worst cameo ever. And then here's one that I hope we'll get, but probably won't. This is the Playmates Apu, as Milhouse and Bart tended to sneak into the Quickie Mart for some squishy. So yeah, that is pretty neat, and I really like these comparisons, and I still like the way that Jakks Pacific is making them to the where the Playmates still can blend in, and you can't really tell that they're from different lines. Not really, I don't think. Alright, and that is your comparison. Moving on. And this has been the Jakks Pacific, The Simpsons, Milhouse, Van Houten. And I'm very happy to have been able to grab this little guy up, because Bart is definitely going to need a best friend standing next to him in my collection, or riding their skateboards and bicycles. I think that would be really cool. And when it comes to Milhouse, there isn't much to him. He, I think, does reuse a little bit of Bart's stuff, but hey, they did make some concessions and added extra parts to him to create a better sculpt and mold to bring out the Milhouse, and it looks really good. He has the super articulation that Jakks Pacific is known for. The colors are great, and I think this was a fun little figure. And if you're collecting the Jakks Pacific lines, I think you'll want to pick Milhouse up to be buddy-buddy with Bart, or at least chase Lisa around. So if you are looking for Milhouse here, you can find him on the shelves right now at your local retailers, and he will go anywhere between $12 to $14. So if you are looking, happy hunting. And that's it, guys. That is the video. Short and sweet tonight. Hope you enjoyed the Jakks Pacific, The Simpsons Milhouse. And until next time, guys, have a great night and keep playing.